Hey guys, I wanted to open up with a quick intro. For the longest time, renting an apartment in Mexico City seemed like a huge mystery that I couldn't figure out. However, this video has now completely cracked that nut, if you will. So I want you to consider this video gold if you are looking to live in Mexico City. It really was something insurmountable, or it seemed insurmountable to me. Renting an apartment here is no easy feat, even for people who are from Mexico. So anyhow, just wanted to let you know that I feel really good about this video. I also wanted to let you know that if you want to skip forward, I'm going to put a timestamp down below in the description box. So if you get tired of the apartment tours, you can skip forward and just listen in on what are the requirements that you need and what will you need to be prepared for if you want to rent an apartment in Mexico City. All right, hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Hey there, fellow wanderers. I hope you are all doing well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, I'm sending you a big virtual hug to welcome you back. I'm Becky, the slow traveling wanderer. As promised, amigos, this is the video where I talk about my apartment hunt. I'll walk you through my tours and we'll share the steps I went through to apply and secure an apartment now that I've decided on a place. I'm still in the process, but I'm pretty sure it will go according to plan. And if not, I'll update you in my next video. For now, you'll have enough to know how it works and feel confident on how to proceed if you're looking to move to Mexico City. All right, let's dive in. I lined up 4 apartment tours this past week, but 2 of the buildings had 2 apartments available each, for a total of 6 apartments that you'll be seeing in this video. While I was tracking apartments on Facebook Marketplace, many were unfurnished or out of my budget, so I ended up using Craigslist as my main search method. After speaking to one of my viewers of this channel who reached out to me, in 2018 it really wasn't something that was used, which is why I didn't mention it in my prior video on how to search for an apartment. But fast forward, CDMX apartment owners have started posting there, and sometimes ads are both in Spanish and English. I made all of my appointments by reaching out either through email, following the Craigslist link, or WhatsApp if they noted their phone number on the Craigslist ad. And I scheduled all of the viewings the same week. This way, I could decide at the end of the week and move forward with next steps. I should note, I later found out that most of the people I met with spoke English, so if you don't speak Spanish, no worries. Also, all of the apartments that I viewed were in the Hipódromo Condesa area and within 10 minutes of the parks, that is Parque España and Parque Mexico, which was the exact location that I was aiming for. Okay, so let's dive in. Apartments 1 and 2 were through a place called Condesa Suites. I say a place versus a building because it almost seems like a quasi-hotel. And actually, after I looked it up, it turns out that they list on booking.com, and they do list these suites, quote unquote, almost like hotel rooms. So needless to say, it was much more expensive than the other small studios or 1-bedrooms that I saw. They had 2 available. One was a larger unit that was going for 21,500 Mexican pesos or 1,075 USD, and a smaller unit that was going for 19,000 pesos or 950 USD. This was outside of my target rent budget. I didn't want to pay more than 16,000 Mexican or 800 USD all in, meaning including maintenance and utilities. But I did want a contingency plan, so something that was easy to get into and out of, flexible with terms. You can rent here for 1 month or you can rent for a year. And it was located near the parks, and was looking at these just in case I happened to need it if I wasn't able to find anything, let's say, in the city. So this place hit the spot. The apartments are small, roughly 475 to 590 square feet or 44 to 55 square meters. But they're super clean and the sheets are changed weekly, modern, well-equipped with anything you might need for a comfy stay. And there's a laundry room as well and a great rooftop for a change of scene. It does have one big downside. There's a huge construction project right next door, which you can see in this footage that I took. In fact, The bigger apartment has a kitchen window that directly looks into the construction area, so people working there can directly see into your apartment. The lady who showed me the unit admitted that it sometimes gets really loud. Now, it happened to be super quiet while I was there, but the smaller apartment is a little bit removed from the direct view, so it's shielded somewhat from the noise and from the direct view, so that was an option for sure. I took a quick walk around the neighborhood once I was done with that viewing, and as you can see, it's gorgeous surroundings, really ideal location. Definitely, they're perfectly situated, these suites. All right, next, apartment number 3 was right off of a major street. It looked like a decent neighborhood. It's still considered Hipódromo Condesa, but it's right at the outskirts, you know, kind of when it's changing neighborhoods. So I was a bit on the fence. However, once you cross the main street, you get into the area with all the restaurants and shops, and it was still a 10-minute walk to Parque Mexico, which is the exact location I was looking for. This was by far the most affordable at 12,000 Mexican pesos or 600 USD, including maintenance fee, but servicios or utilities were extra. The first thing that I noticed and I was cautious about was when I arrived, I noticed there was a parking garage right across the street. In Mexico City, if you don't know, you typically will have numerous men who just kind of hang out at parking garages all day, directing cars and all of that good stuff. The problem I saw with that apartment is it's on the first floor, meaning facing the sidewalk and the street, and the living room and the bedroom windows directly face the parking lot. So as a single woman, this isn't ideal for me. I did take a quick walk around the block to see what kind of neighborhood it was. I saw a lot of nice, well-kept buildings, a couple of nice restaurants, some cafes. So I decided to check it out anyway. It's really a great compact space. They've done an excellent job maximizing the 474 square feet or 44 square meters of space. It's fully furnished, lots of storage, full kitchen, great natural light, and it even had a hammock in the half-room basement, quote-unquote, space that sits under the bed. The bed, as you can see here, sits on a platform, and then there's a space under it. One downside is it did feel a bit stuffy, as if there wasn't great airflow in the apartment. And for some reason, the windows all had issues where they didn't open past 3 inches with the exception of one window. So I figured though, if this was the one that I ended up going for, low airflow could be fixed with an oscillating fan. The lady, the realtor who showed me the place, was really warm, friendly, and she told me that if I needed anything changed or added, like the fan, she would run it by the owner and work with me on this. I asked her to ask the owner about the fan and how much it would cost to include all utilities, as I didn't want to bother with having to set them up under my name or having to pay them each individually. So she did, she asked, and the owner responded pretty quickly and said that for an additional 1,000 Mexican pesos or 50 USD, he would be willing to include all utilities and internet, and that buying a fan wasn't an issue. Perfect. So I kept this one in my back pocket. Apartments 4 and 5. The next apartment building had 2 apartments for rent. I was a little annoyed with the lady or the owner because she did this bait and switch on me as it relates to this apartment. Let me explain. The apartment I inquired about was the one that you see here, and she said it was available. It's spacious, fully furnished, full kitchen, on the 6th floor with somewhat of a view. It's modern. There's a washing machine inside, nice desk for work, and lots of natural light. It's listed at 13,000 Mexican or 650 USD, plus utilities, servicios, quote unquote. Pricing was decent and it definitely within my budget. Now, once I saw the apartment and I took the tour and she could tell that I liked it, she says, oh, you know, I do have to mention that there is someone who submitted an application for this one and we're processing it right now. But if it falls through, I'll let you know. By the way, I have another one just like it on the 3rd floor. Why don't we go see it? That didn't sit well with me. I mean, why didn't she mention this from the start? We could have skipped this tour because clearly they're already, you know, pretty far down the path with this other applicant. And she could have sent me pictures of the second apartment, and which I would have known was just not my style, right? And it could have saved me the trip, and I could have looked at another option. Anyway, we went to the other one. Yikes. It's no wonder she's having a hard time renting it. I'm going to be completely honest here. The furniture is gaudy. It just, I mean, this bright turquoise with red. I like the London touch. I think that the London payphone fridge was cute. But this turquoise, like really bright turquoise stuff is just too much. The bedroom was also nice, as was the bathroom, which very, very similar to the other apartment that I'd seen. But the kitchen is smaller, and because for whatever reason in this apartment they chose to build a wall between the kitchen and the living room. So it's not the same layout and it didn't have that open feel. Also, I didn't mention that these apartments were right off of the Metro Bus line, you know, above ground bus that, you know, runs up and down these different streets. And it's great transportation, but it's, you know, constantly running and it's loud. So when you're on the 3rd floor, you can definitely hear it much more than if you were on the 6th. So lastly, after I left, I asked her if she could give me an example of the cost of utilities using the last tenants as an example. Mind you, she never mentioned that there was a maintenance fee on top of rent. And most all landlords that I've met have been very good about saying, hey, here are the costs, it's this, that, and the other, okay? She did get back to me, and she said that for gas, water, and electricity, it was about 450 Mexican pesos, or 23 US dollars, which is actually very good. Now, that doesn't include internet, so I asked my friend, hey, how much do you pay for internet, more or less? Internet runs around 700 Mexican, or 35 USD, but that's for fast 100 megabits, you know, per second type of internet, which my friend has, and she works from home along with another friend, her roommate. They both work from home and it works perfectly. So anyhow, all in all, this was very reasonable. But then she added, oh, and there's a 1,100 pesos for maintenance. And I was like, excuse me? Okay, so just so you understand how maintenance is charged, basically it's for maintaining the building. The more amenities a building has and the larger, you know, the shared spaces are, then obviously the higher the maintenance. This building had no amenities. It was just the lobby and a security at the front desk. I know enough, just having toured many apartments now and having friends who live in the city, that 1,100 for maintenance is just really a ripoff at this point. Bottom line, I didn't get the best vibes from this woman. I didn't like her style, so I immediately just removed it from further consideration. After leaving these apartments, I went to Taquearte, one of my favorite places in CDMX, to enjoy a nice evening cocktail. It was 5 p.m. after all, and to actually meet a local friend for dinner. On my way there, I ran into this cool place called Green Grass, which you see here. It has at least 20 different signature salads. Now, I'm a Californian, so life without salads is not a life at all. Anyway, I love salads, and I had yet to find kind of a good salad place in CDMX until I ran across this one. I still haven't tried it, but it looks legit. So anyhow, I'm leaving it here in case you're interested, just so you know that it exists and it's out there. Moving on. This last place I saw was apartment number 6. This was a small studio listed at 15,000 Mexican pesos, which was the most expensive in the bunch. However, it included all utilities and internet. no maintenance fee. So basically it was 15,000 all in, which I like. You know, I hate when they start adding, oh, it's and a little bit for this and a little bit for that. Just tell me what the bottom line price is, and, you know, let me make a decision based on that. So I appreciated that about this place being very upfront. Now, it's tiny, and, you know, but before you say I could never, well, when I lived in London, my flat was 37 square meters. Yeah, that's 400 square feet. And I paid 2,745 US dollars a month in rent. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. But it was also located in one of the poshest neighborhoods, Kensington, essentially where Kensington Gardens is, where the royals, you know, sometimes stay. But still, that was ridiculous when you consider it was a matchbox, basically. It's all about perspective, darling. Okay, so what I liked about this place off the bat is I was able to meet the owner. She was the one who showed me the building and the apartment. Further, the apartment was currently occupied by a single woman who was renting it and would be moving out at the end of the month, right in time for me to move in. So she's a New Yorker whom I was able to meet and ask direct questions about her experience. So we talked a little bit. I toured the place, as you see here. The place is compact, but again, they made very good use of space. Doesn't have a full kitchen, and that's a bit of a downside for me as I like to cook. But it does have a little patio off of the kitchen that allows sun, light, and air into the apartment. There's also a desk and chair, but the desk is not really a work desk. So I mentioned that to the owner because I spend hours at my desk and it really does need to be comfy. And she was open to finding a proper desk, so I don't think that'll be a problem. The bathroom is small, but it has lots of shelving space, which is good for us girls, you know? We have lots of stuff, creams, potions, lotions, and more. So I definitely always look for that, lots of shelving space and storage space. And then, like the other small apartment I saw, there was a small basement of sorts that had some extra space to use for either storage, or I saw that it would be a good place to like do yoga, so that was a plus as well. There was also a small love seat, sofa, and ottoman. All in all, it felt comfy and cozy. However, the real selling point was a rooftop. So if you look here, it really is, it's a place with fresh air, a gorgeous view filled with trees, plants, and flowers. It felt completely zen. And there's Wi-Fi also at the rooftop, so it was definitely a place where I could go and work or read if I felt a little closed in due to the size of the studio. So I saw that as a great option. They also have a washer dryer for the building for us to use free of charge, which is another plus. And the owner and I hit it off. We talked a bit, we got to know each other a little bit, and I liked her immediately. So I left that building, and the next day her realtor followed up with me, a Canadian woman that she works with who also lives in the building. So just, you know, side note, again, you will always run into English-speaking people, so there's nothing to worry about if you don't speak Spanish. I mentioned all the apartments that I was considering were in the 14,000 peso range, all in. And that although I liked the studio, the kitchen situation wasn't ideal for me, but that I really did like the owner and like the building. So I asked if there was any flexibility. She said the owner really liked me as well, and after a bit of back and forth, the owner was willing to negotiate down to 14,000 all in, essentially to match the other places that I was considering. However, she did require a 1-year lease. So I told her that's not a problem for me, as that's what I was looking for anyway. So amigos, I ended up going with this place. It's tiny, but it's all I need, and it less space to clean, which is a plus in my view. It's in a gorgeous, secure building in a great location, and I felt, again, a really good sense of community here, and I felt a good connection with the owner, which is always a plus. So, trato hecho. That means you've got a deal. What you see on the screen here is what 3 of the 6 apartments I saw asked for. Since I got the requirements for a few of the apartments, I thought I'd share it with you. They were all pretty consistent. Here's what you'll need to be ready to rent an apartment in CDMX. Number 1, many are asking for a 1-year lease. I'm sure that has to do with the pandemic. It provides more security for the landlords, but it also means that there seems to be less flexibility for shorter term stays unless you go the Airbnb route or the Condesa suites, which offer more flexibility, but they're more expensive. One of the owners asked for 500 pesos to conduct an investigation. I have no idea what they would investigate, especially if you're a foreigner, but there you go. 1 month's rent and a deposit equal to 1 month. That was a given across the board. Póliza jurídica, that was also a given across the board. So for those of us that don't have guarantors, i.e. called aval or fiador, you can pay for an insurance policy in place of that requirement. The owner or agent, it seems that they will arrange it for you. The cost is usually about 50% of 1 month's rent, or sometimes a bit less. For the 2 apartments that provided this information to me, one was charging 4,200 Mexican and the other was charging 4,900 Mexican pesos. And this was for apartments in the range of 13,000 pesos to 15,000 pesos of rent. The policy covers you for a year, and if you renew your contract, you'll need to pay for the póliza, or the policy, again, right? So it's kind of an annual thing. Number 5, copy of passport and any visa if you have one, not required. You may have to fill out a formal application form. Some require it, some don't. Number 7, last 3 pay stubs or the last 3 months of bank statements showing that you can cover the rent. Some require savings equal to 2 times the total annual rent, but again, it just depends on the place. Number 8 is if you want to include your employment salary for consideration in order to rent the apartment, they will typically ask you for a letter from your job verifying employment. I chose not to get my employer involved and asked them to just go off of my bank statements, and they agreed. Number 9, lastly, 2 to 3 local references if you have them. I do, so it was a non-issue for me. I don't think that you'd be denied if you don't know anyone locally, but I'd recommend you submit 2 personal references no matter where they live in place of this requirement if asked. Well, that's it for this apartment search and how to rent in CDMX video. I will post an updated video once I officially move into my place and let you know if there were any last minute things that you should consider. All right, amigos, I'm going to leave this here. I hope you found this information helpful, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Hasta la próxima. See you next time. Bye.